Hello, and we're going to start on Adobe Photoshop lesson. Your first lesson is lesson 2. Before we get started, I'm going to show you the basic layout of Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop, the lessons are going to refer you to a tool. If they say to go to a certain tool, this is your toolbar. Your toolbar is right here. This is your rectangular marquee tool. If you see there is a triangle on the side, the bottom right of some of these tools, if you click and hold your mouse button down, you'll notice that there's a menu that comes up. So you've got all your selection marquee tools are underneath the rectangular marquee tool. Here's your move tool, your lasso tool. If you click down and hold, you'll see that your different options for your lasso tool, so on and so forth. Right here is your foreground color. Right here is your background color. And this icon, if you click on that, it will change your colors back to default. This will switch between the foreground and the background. You'll need to know those for some of your lessons. Right here, you can turn the quick mask on. Right here you turn quick mask off. You're going to learn some of that on lesson 5, I believe. Anytime it tells you to refer to a palette, these are your palettes. Here's your layer palette. Your channel palette is right behind the layer palette. And then here's your path palettes. Color palette, swatches palette, history palette, so on and so forth. If there is a palette that you need to get to and you do not know how to, and it's not up there, all you have to do to get it up there is go to Window and then show or hide whatever palette you need to show or hide. This is your tool options bar. Anytime you select on a different tool, that tool option bar changes in reference to what tool you are using. Now let's get started with lesson 2. If you will go to File, Open, go to your S drive or wherever the file is located. So for my file, I've got to go to the CD, and I'm going to open up lesson 02 folder, then 02 Start. If you're reading along in the book, they'll ask you to open up the 02 End just to look at it. We're not going to do that. So, starting on page 38 of the Adobe Photoshop lesson, classroom and a book lesson. Number 1 says File Open, 02 Start. That's what we just did. Number 2 says Select the Rectangular Marquee Tool. That is this tool right here, the top left tool. Then it says you're going to draw a diagonal line, a marquee box around the melon. So we're going to click on the top left of the melon and drag down, click and drag, so we're holding our mouse key down to the bottom right of your melon. So then you create a rectangular selection around the melon. If you put your cursor inside the melon, you'll notice it turns into a triangle with a rectangle on the bottom. That just indicates that you are inside your selection marquee. If you move that selection around, you'll notice that your arrow turns into a black arrow. This will come in handy when you're trying to select closer. To get out of a selection, you go to Select up on the menu bar, then you go down to Deselect. At any time, if I'm going too fast, please push pause. Now we're going to use the Zoom tool, which your Zoom tool is the very bottom tool. Looks like a magnifying glass. So select the Zoom tool. You're going to click twice on the blueberry. That zooms it in 300% to tell that it is 300%. You look up on the where the title of this image is, and it says 300%, or you can look down at the bottom right here, it says 300%. Now we're going to select the elliptical marquee tool. which is underneath the rectangular marquee tool. If you click and hold on the rectangular marquee tool, you'll notice that your elliptical marquee tool is hidden underneath that. So you'll just click on the elliptical marquee tool to select it. Now we're going to go over a couple of selection options. One selection option is to grow from the, which is normal, you're going to grow from the, where you click, that position. So we're going to click and grow. If you notice, it's growing from that one selection. If you, while you're still holding, I'm still holding on to the mouse button, if you hold down the space bar, you'll notice that your selection goes around with you. This will come in really good this will come in handy when you're trying, again, to select things a lot closer. If you look at the mouse icon, right now you notice it is a plus sign. To select easier, if you will line up the crosshairs from the upper part of your selection to the upper top of the selection to the left of the selection, then you'll be able to select it a lot easier. So then we're going to go up to select, deselect. To grow from the center, you're going to locate the center of the blueberry, click the center of the blueberry and hold. Then you're going to hold on to the Alt key, and you're going to grow from the center. You notice that grows from the center. Okay, so use one of the selection ways that we just said, and then you're going to use the Move tool, which is right next to the tool you just used, which is the elliptical marquee tool. So we're going to use the Move tool. Then we're going to put our cursor on top of the blueberry, which was our selection. Then we're going to click and hold and move it on top of in the middle of our carrot. You notice when I clicked and hold and moved it, there was a pair of scissors that showed up. That just shows you that you're cutting your selection. So we're going to go up and say select, deselect. We're going to get the elliptical marquee tool again, and using one of the selection methods that we've already used, you're going to select the carrot. Again, if it's not, if you start and it's not where you want it, where you needed it to start from, just hold down the mouse, the space bar while you're growing it, and you can move your selection. So once you have selected the carrot where there's no white around it, then you're going to select the Move tool, the Zoom tool, which is again the magnifying glass. You're going to say Fit on Screen up on your tool options bar. Then you're going to click the Move tool. Then you're going to, again, once we hold our mouse button, the Move tool on top of our selection, you notice there's a pair of scissors that show up. That means we're cutting the selection. So we're going to move that on top of the melon where the eye would be on the melon. Without deselecting the carrot, the eye, we're going to hold down the Alt key. Then we're going to click and then hold down the Shift key and move it over to the right. This holds the proportion. You notice it's snapping to directly across from where we originally selected it. Then we're going to let go and then let go of our Shift and Alt key. Then you're going to go up to Select, Deselect. Again, if I'm moving too fast, then listen to what I do and then pause it and then do what I just told you to do. The next thing we're doing is we're going to go to the kiwi. So zoom up to the kiwi, which is this green fruit down here, to 300%. Then we are going to use the elliptical marquee tool and use one of the selection methods we previously learned, and select the kiwi. Again, make sure there is no white around your selection. And if you need to move your selection to make your selection better, again, you can use the mouse, the space bar. Once you have done that, if you notice over here on your palettes, go to the navigation palette, there is a red box around where you can see. If you simply move that red box over, you'll notice that it zooms over. It moves the page over. You can also scale it by moving this triangle down here. So now we're zoomed out. Okay, now go into the Move tool, select the Move tool. Now we're going to cut and move the kiwi where the mouth would be, on top of the melon. Now you can say select, deselect. Now we're going to work with the nose. So if you will zoom in to the pear, and then go over here underneath the Move tool, select the Magic Wand tool, then go up to the Tool Options bar where it says Tolerance, and it says the default says 32. You need to change that to 50. 50. Then we're going to go move our cursor on top of the pear. Click once. You notice a lot of the pear is selected, but not all. So now we're going to add to our selection. In order to do that, you need to hold down the Shift key. When you hold down the Shift key, you notice that a plus sign next to your icon shows up. That means we're adding to our selection. So we're going to click until all of the pear is selected. Again, if I'm moving too fast, pause, do what I just told you to do, and then play again. Now we're going to zoom back out. Now we're going to select the Move tool and move our nose onto where the nose would be. If you don't get the nose quite where you want it, you can always use the up and down and side right to left arrows on your keyboard to get it exactly where you want it. Once you get it exactly where you want it, go ahead and say select, deselect. Now we're going to go and say File, Save As. Since this is the first lesson that we are doing, you do not have a folder created yet, so you need to go to your S drive. I do not have the S drive on this computer, so I'm just going to go to My Documents. Again, you need to go to the S drive. Locate your class, locate the Adobe Photoshop Lessons, Classroom in a Book folder. Go into that folder and create a new folder. So I'm going to create a new folder in My Documents. In order to create a new folder, go to the Create a New Folder icon. Looks like this. Then you're going to add your first name and your last name, as though it shows in the gray book. You're going to go into that folder, and then you're going to save the file as your first name, lesson 2, and then say save. Now that we have it saved, we are going to work with the bow tie. Please pay very close attention to what I tell you to do, and then do it the way I tell you to do it. If you have to, play this over a couple of times until you understand, okay? So we are going to use the zoom tool, and we are going to zoom up to the bow tie. Now we are going to use the lasso tool, which is right underneath your elliptical marquee tool. If you notice, if you click and hold and notice, you have a couple of different lasso tools. And in this lesson, we're actually going to go between the regular lasso tool and the polygonal lasso tool. So right now, we're just selecting the lasso tool. We're going to go on the top left of the bow tie, as close as we can. We're going to click and hold and freehand draw as close as we can to the bow tie. When we get to the other point, we'll continue holding onto our mouse button. Then we're going to hold down the Alt key, let go of your mouse button, then we're changing which changes the icon, your tool that you're using. So now you're using the polygon lasso tool. Again, we are still holding down the Alt key. Now we're going to go and click our mouse button at each of the points while still holding down the Alt key. When we get down to the bottom, we're going to click our mouse button and hold it. So we're holding our mouse button down. We're going to let go of the Alt key and then freehand draw the bottom part as close as we can to the bow tie. Then when we get to the other side, again, we are still holding down our mouse button. Then we hold down the Alt key again, let go of the mouse button, and then click at each of the points. Once you are done, let go of the Alt key and the mouse. Let go of the Alt key and then the mouse button. Sometimes you may have to do it over again. Depends if the computer is acting funny on you or not. Okay, this time I just, to close it off, I just let go of my mouse button first and then the Alt key. So again, if this was too fast for you, you can play it again. You can pause it whenever you need to. That is up to you. That's why I'm doing this on video as a screenshot. So now, once we have done, we've got our selection around the bow tie as close as we can with no white, and keeping the shape of the bow tie, we're going to select the zoom tool, which again is a magnifying glass. I'm going to go up here and say fit on screen on the tool options bar. We're going to select the move tool. We're going to move the bow tie down underneath our mouse. We're ready to go up there and say select, deselect on our menu bar. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our chef's hat. In order to do that, we need to zoom into the mushroom. So select your zoom tool and click on twice onto the mushroom. We're going to select our lasso tool again. Again, this is located underneath your elliptical marquee tool. You're roughly going to draw around the mushroom, leaving some areas to where you're going to add to your selection. So it doesn't have to be, and take it away from your selection, so it doesn't have to be extremely close. Once you have done that, we're going to hold down, if you notice, if I hold down the Shift key, my mouse button is not selected, I'm holding down the Shift key. Again, there is a plus sign. If you look at my icon, there's a plus sign by the lasso tool. That means I'm going to add to my selection. So I'm going to click on the inside of my selection, do a better drawing around the outline of my mushroom, and then I'm going to come back around and close off that section, and then let go of my mouse button, and then let go of the Shift key. You notice that added to my selection. Now, if you hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, you notice there's a subtraction sign that is located by your icon, the lasso tool. In this case, we want to take away from the selection. So whatever we want to take away from the selection, we draw a circle around and outline where we need to take off while we're holding down the Alt key and the mouse button. And then we draw it, and then we let go of the mouse button, and then we let go of the Alt key. And you notice that subtracted from the selection. So using Shift to add to your selection and Alt to take away from your selection, do a better selection around your mushroom. Again, Alt takes away, Shift adds. Again, if you need to pause this video, then do it, and then do your actions on your screen, and then you can hit play again. Once you have the mushroom selected, zoom out, use the Move tool, and move the mushroom on top where your chef's hat would be. Then you're going to say Select, Deselect. File, Save. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to use the zoom in. We're going to create the ear, so we're going to zoom in to the grapefruit, 300%. We're going to go select underneath the elliptical marquee tool, select the lasso tool, click and hold down the lasso tool. Underneath the lasso tool, you'll see what's called what's called the magnetic lasso tool. Select that. What this does is it clicks to your where you're going. It clicks to the shape. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to select this end part of the grapefruit. So click and then just drag. I'm not holding down my mouse key. I'm just dragging along the inner part of the grapefruit. When you get to the end, click again. Zoom out. Oops. Fit on screen. Use the move tool, move it over. Do not, at this step, do not say deselect. If this is at the end of the class period and you have to say save, you need to move the grapefruit somewhere where it is not on your melon before you say save. So, now that we have our grapefruit selected and moved, we are going to go to Edit. We're going to go to Free Transform. You notice there's a box that shows up around Free Transform. This little node in the middle, if you move it, that's your pivot point. So now if I move it, it's pivoting along that point. Okay? Then we'll move it back to the center. If you look on the, move your cursor to where it's a double-headed arrow and it's a curved double-headed arrow. That shows that you're going to be rotating it around. This big part down here is your earlobe. So you want to move that to where it's at the bottom. To get out of Free Transform, you can hit Enter on your keyboard. Now we're going to move this where the ear would be. The left ear would be. Again, if I'm going too fast, you need to pause it, do what you need to do on your image, and then come back to this video. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hold down the Alt key, and we're making a copy of the ear. So you notice there's a double-headed arrow that shows up. We're going to move it over to the right, and we're going to let go of the Alt key, let go of our mouse button. Now we're going to go to Edit, Transform, and we're going to flip horizontal. Okay? There are other options that you can do. If you look at Transform, you can scale, rotate, skew, distort, perspective, rotate 180 degrees, rotate 90 degrees clockwise, rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, flip horizontal, or flip vertical. Again, we just did flip horizontal. Okay, then we're going to move the ear where it needs to be. We're going to say select, deselect. Please make sure that your ears are not lopsided. We don't want to have a lopsided melon head. Okay, at this point, now we're going to work on the eyebrows. So if you will zoom in to the radish by using the zoom tool. Now we're going to go back to the rectangular marquee tool, which at this point is underneath the elliptical marquee tool. We're going to draw a box around the radish. Now we're going to select the magic wand tool. Put our cursor inside, on the white inside of our selection. We're going to hold down the Alt key so that we take away from the selection. We're going to click on the white part, and you notice it takes away the white part of the selection. Now you're going to zoom out. select the Move tool. Move the radish up where the eyebrow would be. Now we're going to duplicate, meaning we're creating a copy of the radish. So we're going to hold down the Alt key, and we're going to click and drag our copy over. Now we're going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. We're going to move our second radish on top of the right eye. We're going to say select, deselect. Our last step is we're going to crop our melon head, so that way we don't have this extra junk in our picture. So we're going to go to the crop tool. The crop tool is located underneath your lasso tool. We're going to click at the top left of our melon head and drag to the bottom right of our melon head. If we need to, we can, if we need to, we can move our selection. We can make it bigger or smaller. Once you have your selection how you want it, you can hit Enter and it crops. Now you're going to say Save. And now you are done with Lesson 2. Lesson 3 will start. Now go on to Lesson 3 if you still have time left in class. Number 3 starts on page 63. So we're going to close out Lesson 2. Thank you, and you have a great day.